mountain roads of the Eastern Cape. The only one-day event on the calendar, it is also the only event with pace notes and a pre-event recce of the route. The crews gathered early in the chilly but clear weather for the recce, which allowed them to check the notes and make their own additions. A variety of vehicles from rental cars to bakkies to service vans took the route in formation at a predetermined speed.
I think coming here is always a bit of an education, you know. The roads are fast, they're difficult to read, you know. There are no trees, so we get used to following the lines of the trees and the contours, and the roads here seem to just sometimes divert towards their own side. You then try and pick up on the power lines next to the road, and they also turn away and the road goes straight. So you've got to really concentrate, trust your navigator, and the notes we're making today are crucial. You know, we need to stick to them and trust them and focus on them tomorrow.
Business commitments forced Guy Hodgson to take a sabbatical from rallying. Thus, Serge Damso enticed Robert Paisley into the hot seat. Paisley is also Johnny Gemmel's regular navigator in the African Championship.
Yeah, the pace notes look good. We do make a few changes here and there, changing a few mediums to fast, and we've taken a few tightnesses out so that we can get a more fluency into our notes.
No, pace notes are fairly good. I've only made one or two changes, but basically purely just cautions, but the notes are very good.
No, they're all right. We're taking out a couple of instructions here and there. There's a lot of information, sometimes a lot of instructions to be read out at the same time, and some of the instructions are rather long, so we've taken out some of them. But it all appears to be all right, going nicely, getting used to them, and we're looking forward to using them tomorrow in the race.
The rally kicked off at 6 a.m. sharp in the pouring rain. Queen was first off the line as Judd made a final check of his pace notes before the second golf got going. Damso was next to leave. Conditions were miserable, with snow covering the mountains and the rain unwilling to let up, even for a moment. Unexpectedly, Habich came through stage one first, fighting to keep his golf in a straight line in the muddy conditions. Keane, who had started first on the road, was already out with a blown engine after 23 kilometers. With nothing to lose in the championship race, Damso threw caution to the wind. He did it successfully too, mastering the conditions best over the 37-kilometer stage to stretch out a 23-second lead over Habich. Watch him brake hard at the final left-hander as he came across the cows in the road. Most cars thereafter would find the same live obstacles in their path. From inside Fekner and Levkovitz's car, we can see how hard the drivers had to work to keep the car on the road, even in a straight line. Take note also of the excessive wheel spin in the mud, with the engine constantly hitting the rev limiter. This was made worse by the fact that Fekner, like many others, chose to start on dry tyres, fearing that the rough roads would destroy the soft, wet weather tyres before the end of the stage. It was a mistake. Even the local wildlife ended up being interested spectators. Team Total's Lawrence and Vermeulen had started the stage on wet tyres, and it paid off as they were third fastest overall, winning Class A7 by 22 seconds in the process. The four-wheel drive vehicles were expected to revel in the conditions, but Raider and Buerta were cruising through the first stage with flashes flashing. Their event already over after a blown turbo. The scenery was spectacular, but the drivers and navigators did not notice. Van der Walt and Burrows were one of the crews that elected to start on dry tyres, and they were fighting for grip everywhere. They lost 2 minutes 48 seconds to class rivals Lawrence and Vermeulen in this stage alone. Botha and Jordan Subaru was one of the few four-wheel drive vehicles to make it through stage one. He had finished both events, he had contested well up the leaderboard and was determined to score another points finish. Fourth on the opening stage, did very nicely, thank you. JP Damso with new navigator Cobus Frey was another to start the event on dry tyres, and he too lost chunks of time. He would be stuck with the tyres for a second stage after his service crew failed to make it to service at the end of the first stage thanks to the conditions. The same fate that befell Rueda in the Mitsubishi befell Berger and Swanepoel in the Subaru. A blown turbo saw to it that they too could only cruise through most of stage one and into retirement. Barry Grobler and Paul van Wyk, the Sasol Volkswagen player, was another crew to start on dry tyres, and they were also forced into damage control mode. They did better than some to post the 7th fastest time on the stage. Port Elizabeth's Keith Colman and Uwe Koch were not enjoying the conditions in their Sasol Volkswagen player, finishing the stage down in 17th place. Team Total's Craig Trott and Gerard Sneeman were also without the right tyres on their Class A6 Corolla, allowing the Class A7 Sasol Volkswagen player of Tony Ball and Dean Riedlinghuis to close right up. Ball and Riedlinghuis finished the stage 5th fastest and second in class, albeit 22 seconds behind the class winners. Sanders and Gierke also did not take to the conditions in the Class N2 Team Total Toyota, but they were nonetheless fastest in class on this stage. Chris de Wit and Shane Saville severely bent their CTH Toyota Taz early in the stage after a hard impact, but this did not deter the pair, who continued at a good lick to finish third in class, just 45 seconds down on the class winners Damso Jr. and Frey. Watch for the cows crossing the road. Bem and Sinclair's 6-sounding and smoking Kalben Toyota Corolla could only cruise through the stage, but would not even see the end of it and would take no further part in the rally. Ruis and Noonan had selected the right tyres for their Sasol City Golf and made the most of their advantage to open up a lead of over 30 seconds over their Class A5 rivals. His performance saw him post 9th fastest stage time, a superb performance for such a small car. With the cows posing an ever-increasing danger to the crew's motoring scribe Steve Wicks decided it was time to herd them out of the way. He was so efficient he could make a career out of it. Despite the advantage of four-wheel drive, Mally Saville and Alec Harris could not get to grips with the conditions and could only post the 21st quickest time in their Subaru. They lost 6 minutes to the class leaders on this stage alone. Berger explains what went wrong.
Yeah, we were about 10 k's into the stage, so we withdrew from the rally. There's not enough time to change it.
This first stage, not anybody's play, mate.
No, definitely not. We really enjoyed it with the four-wheel drive. It was quite nice, but it wasn't a nice stage at all for the other vehicles.
Rueda told us about his retirement.
Yeah, you know, we had a similar problem last year where we cannot get this computer in this car to compensate for the height. So we were going very nicely, and then as we started climbing up the pass, then we lost all power. And obviously to drive this car in these conditions, never mind in anything else, without power on demand is very, very treacherous. So we're now trying to sort it out. As you can see, I've got a machine here, a computer, and we're going to try and see if we can reach in a mixture. We don't really know why the machine doesn't compensate, but unfortunately it's cost us at the rally, and we're out. What can I say?
Round 6 of the South African Rally Championship. We're in Alloa North in the Eastern Cape. The rally started at 6 o'clock this morning and it's been raining all day ever since. Sorrow.
Probably the worst conditions I've seen in a long time. It's difficult even to stay on the open sections. And as we've seen, it's taken its toll. Enzo's missing. Apparently he's had car problems, but the much favoured four-wheel drives are nowhere. Skalk's gone, and so is Rueda. Bjorn Botha we've seen in action a few times, spinning and carrying on. and he's now obviously dropped back. So it looks like a two-car race at this point in time between Abik and Serge. And we've just seen him come through with a flat wheel, dropping 19 seconds. So I think it's pretty close between the two of them.
Now, Serge started off at quite a fair crack this morning.
He took 23 on the first stage, 4 seconds on the second stage, but now he's dropped 19 due to the flat wheel. But, you know, I think he's just in that mood that he doesn't give a damn. He's got to win or do nothing because he's had such a bad year. But for Abik, on the other hand, this could put him right back in the championship. Enzo was leading by 28 odd points. And second place even here will make it a 1 point difference. So the championship's wide open at this point in time.
And this event, it's the only one-day event on the calendar, and it's quite unique, high up in the mountains in this area.
And freezing cold, I might add. Yes, it's one of the fastest rallies. It's all public roads, very fast, but like you said, it's been raining for all night last night and all day today. And conditions are very, very difficult. I mean, you know, only the top guys are really going to go fast. And we've seen, I think Erhan is battling a bit. He's not really used to this type of thing. And third place is wide open. I think Etienne is doing a very good job. He's really putting in some good times. But I think the attrition rate is going to be very high. So anything could happen.
With the Sasol Volkswagen squad also unable to get wet tyres to its teams at service, Van der Walt was still on dry tyres and struggling for grip on stage 2. Damso Jr. was also still battling away on dries and was being closed down quickly by Buerte and the Subaru. But sniffing his prey ahead, Buerte got on the gas too early and spun down the track. He was soon on his way again and, despite a few more hairy moments, made it safely to the end of the stage. Kroblar was once again going well and headed for another 7th place finish on the stage and second in class behind Lawrence in the team total Toyota. Coleman and Koch were still battling the conditions but would retire at the end of the stage with suspected differential problems. Trott and Snyman continued their good drive and turned the tables on Damso Jr. and Frey to take the Class A6 win for the stage. Ball and Riedlinghuis were also enjoying the conditions and still pushing hard. They were rewarded with equal 7th overall for the stage, tied with teammates Kroblar and Van Beek. With a healthy class lead, Sanders and Gericke treated this stage with more caution, only managing the 19th fastest stage time. Despite his Toyota still crabbing on the road, De Wit was impressively still putting in competitive stage times and knocking on the door of the top 10. Russ and Noonan were still dominating Class A5, taking almost another minute on the stage from rivals Versace and Swan, who weren't hanging around either in their team total Toyota Taz. Saville and Harris were also still struggling with the conditions, putting in erratic performances that saw them either on the fringes of the top 10 or near the bottom 20. Having rolled their Subaru for a TV shoot shortly before the event, Marius Swart and Jan Syme were contesting the event in their old Honda and determined to keep it in one piece. Adrian Karth and Rikus Fourie were producing a solid performance, finishing between 10th and 15th on stages before going off the road on stage 4 and being time barred. Mortimer was using all his experience to post some good stage times in the Class N3 Nissan Sentra, while Michael Houghton and Craig Jennings were playing it cautious in the conditions in their Toyota Taz, as were Peter Teague and Donovan Brown in their Polo Player. Motoring scribe Steve Mearns and navigator Kieran Noonan were driving superbly on their rally debut, beating many of the more experienced crews in the process. But the surprise of the stage was Class N2 crew Andy Hague-Smith and Gerald Brace. After being 4 minutes slower than the class leader Sanders in stage 1, they clocked the 5th fastest stage time overall, almost 2 minutes faster than Sanders on this one. They never managed such a giant-killing act again, though. Sasol Volkswagen development team in Zimande and Meyiwa were learning what tough rallying is all about and putting up a very credible performance in the process. Top cars Colin Mileman and Andre van Deventer finished this stage, but were on their way to retirement in the next. They got the Automark Toyota Taz stuck on a mud bank in stage 3 after a harmless spin due to shock failure and would go no further. Even spectators were getting stuck